Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again with another Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown wishlist, this time modern classics. So last week I did a video on 12 luxury cars I'd like to see in the upcoming game, which I'll link somewhere here if you want to take a look at that afterwards. But today we're going to be looking at modern classics. So anything earlier than 1997 is considered an outright classic now, more than 25 years old, so I'm not going to have anything older than that on the list, and I'm not going to have anything newer than about 2010 because I don't think that really counts as even a modern classic at that point. Now, I did do a video on classics already, so for anything older than 1997, there is a video I did quite a while ago about whether classics will return and which ones I'd like to see, which I will again link here if you want to watch it afterwards. But yeah, today we're going to look at cars from between 1997 and 2010 that I would quite like to see in the upcoming test drive game, assuming we're getting classics. So we kick things off with the Koenigsegg, which I did actually mention in the classics video. They are as early as 2002, that's when the first models of Koenigsegg came out, and were featured in the original game, so I'd love to see those return in Solar Crown. Similarly, the Pagani Zonda, they came out in 1999, so a few years before, but the same kind of era of those sort of ultra high-end hypercars, really, from those super exclusive brands, kind of more exclusive than things like Ferrari and Lamborghini, if you like. So the first game was kind of the first appearance of some of these brands, which have now gone on to produce some of the fastest and, well, most beautiful cars in the world. So it'd be great to see Koenigseggs and Zondas in the upcoming game. So now that I've covered a couple of cars which I already mentioned in the classics video, let's get on to the proper list, starting at the top with the Alfa Romeo 8C, produced from 2007 to 2009. Not one of my particular favourites, but it is a cool car. It's a limited numbers V8 powered Alfa Romeo that's not actually all that expensive given its rarity. Now, the next car on the list won't be a surprise to any of you, the Aston Martin Dbs, produced between 2007 and 2012, and is one of my all-time favourite cars, and possibly the most beautiful car of all time. I've talked about this before, plus it's an Aston with a V12, and featured in not one but two James Bond films, as well as being based on a DB9, which is the only car ever to go in Top Gear's cool wall fridge, the only car ever cool enough to go in there. So that definitely knows a place. Anyway, I could talk about the DBS all day, so let's move on to the Bugatti Veyron, produced between 2005 and 2011. Of course, I'm talking about the original 16.4, as it's the most iconic of the lineup, and that was the first sort of, well, it was the first, but it was the sort of, it broke the speed record. I know they later did it again with the Super Sports, but I think the original one is the one that deserves a place, really. I really don't like them, but it is an icon of its time, more so than any of the subsequent Veyron models. Next up, the Ferrari Enzo, produced between 2002 to 2004. Similarly to the Veyron, I never particularly liked these. I don't think they're very good looking at all. I think they're hideous, in fact. But again, it's an icon of its time, so I think it deserves a place on the list. Moving from Ferrari to another Italian brand, Lamborghini, the Lamborghini Gallardo. So another of my favourite cars of all time alongside the DBS. These were produced between 2004 to 2014, so I'd love to see some model of them in the game. Maybe a Superleggera, maybe even a first-gen Superleggera, because from what I hear they sound better because of regulations. But yeah, it's another of my all-time favourites. So much better sounding and looking than its replacement, and just all-around an epic car. Sticking with Lamborghini, the Murcielago from 2002 to 2010, these were made. Same as the Gallardo, I just really like this generation of Lamborghini, I think, and we did already see the predecessor to this. Some form of Diablo was seen in the first Solar Crown trailer, so a Murcielago alongside the Diablo would be a very cool pairing. The Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren from 2003 to 2009. I do absolutely love the SLR McLaren, and same goes for the next car, and the final car on the list, the Porsche Carrera GT, again produced between 2003 to 2007, and is one of the best sounding cars of all time with its motorsport-derived V10 engine. The Mercedes McLaren I mentioned just before, and the Enzo were the holy trinity of their time back in the early 2000s to mid-2000s, and the Porsche is probably my favourite of the three, although I do really like the McLaren. As I said, the Ferrari, it never really excited me. It just kind of looked not very good and didn't sound all that great or anything, and had nothing interesting about it to me. I always loved the SLR McLaren and the Carrera GT, which I think is a perfect way to end the list of modern classics I would like to see in Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. So there we go, those are the 10 modern classics I'd most like to see in the upcoming Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown game. As ever, do let me know if there's any cars you think I've missed out that deserve a spot on that list from between 1997 to 2010. And do let me know if there's anything on that list that you don't think deserves a place, and let me know if you enjoy this style of video or not, because there's plenty more wish lists I would love to make about the upcoming Test Drive game, as well as cars I'd like to see in games such as Forza and Gran Turismo. So yeah, do let me know your thoughts, but for today's video that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.